on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Welcome back to Match Day Reloaded, live here in Panenka Studios. As always, the day after, the afternoon, night, day before, whatever it may be, Manchester United won, Luton Town 0 is here. What we're here to talk about, reflect upon, and have a chat about this morning, certainly. We're going to be getting into some reactions, some quotes, some analysis, if you will. And I hope everyone's having a good Sunday. It's nice to be doing one of these again, which we've actually won a match, because this season, not often really been the case, has it, that we've come on here in the lovely Panenka Studios and had to celebrate a Manchester United victory. And you know what? I think some of my opinions this morning, are going to be maybe some that people don't agree with or they don't want to hear. I think if you take the litmus test of social media, which you should never do, because social media is not the real world, certainly. But I did see a lot of sort of negativity yesterday after the game. I saw a lot of negativity and I saw a lot of people talking about how, you know, we struggled past Luton and we scraped past and we weren't in control of the game. And that's not really what I saw. That's not really what I saw anyway. Obviously, Victor Lindelof gets the winner yet again. It's someone that isn't an attacking player bailing us out this season, which has happened more often than not, realistically. It's been a case of like Lindelof, Varane, Scott McTominay, Casemiro, those players scoring the goals in the majority of the big moments for Manchester United. And that needs to get much better. I don't doubt that. I'm not disputing that whatsoever. But some interesting stats come out after the game yesterday. Now, with the victory, Manchester United are the most informed team in the Premier League. It's true. You may not believe it, but it is true. We've picked up more points over the last 5 games than any other team. There's 4 wins, 1 defeat. Obviously, that defeat came in the Manchester derby against City, which was a comprehensive one. You're also looking at defensively. For all of the talk about Andre Onana this season and how much he's not fitting in and how much he's not adapting to the Premier League and he's no improvement on what we had before and he's terrible, he's rubbish, he can barely play and go, and there are still doubts and reservations, don't get me wrong, but he currently sits as second in the Golden Glove race. He has 4 clean sheets. He's level with Vicario at Spurs, which everybody's been praising. He's 1 behind Nick Pope. They conceded 2 yesterday. And he's 1 behind Sam Johnston from Crystal Palace as well. Not bad going, you would say. Now, again, if you're going to look at it and say, oh, Man United, most informed team in the Premier League. There's back-to-back Premier League wins, by the way. Back-to-back clean sheets too. Does it tell the whole story? Of course it doesn't. And I'm aware of that. And as I always say to you guys, and this is probably a good example of this too, statistics can be manipulated. And there are multiple statistics that can fit anyone's narrative that they want to put out there. Whether it's Man United playing rubbish and those worst start to the seasons, you know, there's a season since, well, for the last 60 years. That's also true. But what is also true right now is that Manchester United are the most informed team in the league. And we have the second most clean sheets. Well, our goalkeeper has second most clean sheets, but which is only 1 less. Now, as I mentioned, is it sustainable? Almost certainly not. Yeah, when you're playing like we are, it will come back to bite you when you play big teams. We have seen that this season. Manchester City was a great example of that. But, as Erik ten Hag has been saying recently, when you're not playing well, you need to find a way to win. And yesterday in particular, again, I saw a lot of the discourse of, Man United didn't play well. And we didn't play particularly great, but we struggled past Luton. In reality, I looked at yesterday as simply a case of attacking players not really doing their job, not really taking their chances. If you look at the XG, and I'm not a big XG guy, but if you look at the XG, our XG is 2.21 to Luton's 0.45. We had, you could say, 4 gilt-edged big chances. Even if you look at the stats, I think they say it's 4 big chances and four big chances missed. You know, Højlund, first few minutes, misses. Good save by the goalkeeper, but he should score. Alejandro Garnacho skies one over the bar. He should score. Garnacho again. He's in space. Højlund finds him. Should score. Tries to go around the goalkeeper. Second half. Højlund, another opportunity. Should at least hit the target. Rashford should score. I mean, we're talking 5. We're talking 5 big chances there that, if our strikers are clinical, we win that game 4-0, 5-0, even 3-0. A comprehensive 3-0. That's really what it should have been minimum yesterday. But it wasn't because we didn't take our chances. I'd be far more concerned and I'd be far more negative reflecting on yesterday's result if we hadn't made any chances. Luton, they knew what they were going to do. Came to Old Trafford, do a low block. They'll do that against any other big team this season. They have. They've made it difficult for big teams this season. Spurs beat them 1-0. Liverpool drew 1-1. Granted, that was at home. This was sort of their first big test away from home. But I do think some of the discourse about we weren't in control of the game, I think that's laughable that we weren't in control of the game yesterday, because clearly we were in control of that game because we should have won it 4 or 5-0. And can you really recall Luton really threatening? They had a couple of opportunities. Onana makes saves that he should make. And in any football match in the Premier League, and I know people say, oh, they're a championship team in the Premier League, which is not a million miles away from the truth. But in the Premier League, whoever you play, at some point in the game, they'll get a chance. It's just a case of what's the scoreline when they get that chance, particularly when you play a Luton. Are you 1-0 up? Is it 0-0? Or are you 5-0 up? Which is what it should be for us yesterday. And I think that given the injuries that we've had, and given to the start of the season that we have had, it could and maybe should be a lot worse than it is right now. And I do think that, and this isn't me justifying, a poor performance, because it wasn't a good watch yesterday. It was a really difficult and challenging watch yesterday. It was dull. It was boring, and at points it did feel like it was slow. But that's also what it's like when you're playing a team with a low block. It's going to be really slow and really laborious. But we did have chances, and that's the key thing for me yesterday, is we did have chances, and we should have taken our chances, and it should have been way more comprehensive. And I'd be far more concerned if we were coming into this and we were like, we didn't create anything, we just literally, if we created nothing and then Victor Lindelof scores, that's scraping past Luton. I don't look at should have winning the game 4 or 5-0, missing a hatful of chances as scraping past. And as of right now, as I mentioned, being the most informed team in the league, which again, when you say that, people go, nah, it's bullshit. It is true. Up to 6th in the league. And as KG was saying after the game yesterday, and he actually got a bit of stick for this on the match view, which I was quite surprised about. He goes, we're 6 points behind Arsenal. And it's true. We're 5 points behind Spurs. And that's why football's a funny thing, isn't it? We're 5 points behind. We're 5 points behind Spurs, 6 points behind Arsenal. Now, would you say, are we sort of a team that's, in terms of performance, 6 points off Arsenal? You would say no. You would say we haven't performed to that level this season whatsoever. Would you say, as a team, we're a team that's sort of just in terms of quality 5 points behind how Spurs have been playing this season? No. But at the same time, I do think it's ironic that some of the excuses that are now being levied towards some of these other teams that people were full of praise for earlier this season. Spurs, an example yesterday, when they're talking about they've been absolutely hammered with injuries. They've been hammered with injuries and absences over the last few weeks. I looked at that and said, are you taking the piss? Is that what really people are saying? Because when it's Spurs, when it's Ange Postecoglou, injuries, absences. When it's United, it's the manager's clueless and inept. Or Newcastle yesterday. Newcastle lost to Bournemouth. Could you imagine if we lost to Bournemouth? 2-0 away from home. What the reaction would be? We're a point ahead of Newcastle at the moment. They've got, 2 wins out of their last 5. We've got 4 wins in our last 5. So that's when I do think sometimes we do need to take a step back and see sort of the bigger picture for what things are happening there. And again, it's not great. Performances, not great. And again, some of the results this season have been shambolic. Our goal difference is still horrific. But actually, and this is the interesting thing too, when you look at the goal difference, because people like to talk about, again, defensively. And people like to talk about our goalkeeper and the amount of defensive injuries we've had and the amount of defensive changes we've had. Our goals conceded isn't a million miles off a lot of other people's goals conceded in the top sort of 7 or 8, right? It's the goals scored. It's that, and that's my point from yesterday as well. If you look at, let's go through the top 8 teams, okay? Brighton, they've conceded more goals than us. They've conceded 20 goals. For reference, we've conceded 16. They've conceded 20 goals. Newcastle, they've conceded 13 goals, only 3 goals less than us. Aston Villa, they're above us in 5th place. They've also conceded 16 goals. So if they keep a clean sheet today in the Premier League, then they'll be on the same amount of goals conceded. If they concede a goal, they'll have a worse defensive record than us. Liverpool, far better record than us. They've conceded 10 goals. Spurs, up in 3rd place, they've conceded 1 less goal than us. 1 less goal than us. And then you look into Arsenal, they've conceded 10. City, they conceded 8 goals. They're not even in double figures. But the real difference between all of these teams we're talking about here, it's goals scored. It's goals scored. Brighton, 24. Newcastle, 27. Villa, 26. Liverpool, 24. Spurs, 24. Arsenal, 26. City, 28. Manchester United, 13. 1-3. Out of our attacking players, not one of them has scored more than 1 Premier League goal. So I think the narrative's kind of skewed here. A lot of the narrative about United this season is that defensively we're awful, our goalkeeper's rubbish, and the football's terrible because of that. And that's just not the case. Realistically, the problem is, and it's the same problem yesterday in this game, we're not scoring goals. Marcus Rashford, Højlund, Anthony, Bruno Fernandes, whoever is playing, we're not scoring enough goals. And it's not a case of not creating those goals, because yesterday's a perfect example. The XG's at over 2. We've got four categorized big chances, and we didn't score any of them. It was Victor Lindelof that scored those goals. So the way that I'm starting to look at it is, if we start scoring goals or start taking the chances that are being created, then the performances should improve. So this isn't a big, lecture to say that, you should all calm down. We're playing great football, because we're not playing great football. But I do think some of the narrative, as I mentioned, has been a bit skewed with what I've been seeing on social media over the last 12 to 18 hours or so. Because if you looked at that and read what some people are saying, you would think that, again, we're not creating anything. There's nothing in that game. Defensively, we're awful, and our goalkeeper's a bum. And that's just not the case in the league. Champions League, don't get me wrong, we've conceded a shit ton of goals, and that's true. That's absolutely true. But also in the Champions League, we've scored goals. We've scored goals in the Champions League. So it's kind of the opposite in that respect. Champions League, we have had games where we've scored 3 goals or 2 goals or whatever. In the Premier League, and this is what we're talking about right now, we're not scoring goals. Defensively, we're kind of on par with everybody else. But we're just not putting the ball in the back of the net, and we are creating those chances. Another stat, if you want one, when it comes to Erik ten Hag, in terms of points taken from the first Premier League games in charge, let's have some comparison between some other managers. Mikel Arteta, in his first 50 league games in charge of Arsenal, picked up 75 points. Jurgen Klopp picked up 92 points. Erik ten Hag picked up 96 points. Only person higher in the selected group of managers is Pep Guardiola with 112. So again, there is this, I don't know, I do think we just need to calm down a little bit. We just need to calm down a little bit, in my opinion. It's not great. It's not. But all you can do is, this is what we've been saying the last few weeks, all you can do is win, All you can do is win football matches. At a time, too, in which other managers who are being widely praised aren't winning football matches either. If you look at actually the Premier League table right now, and you look at, again, that sort of top eight group of teams, who 7 of the 8 have been widely praised and lauded by the media this season, nobody's form is great, realistically. It's flabbergasting that Man United are the most informed team at the moment. That's what it is. So again, that's why I just think, we just need to calm down. Just need to calm down a little bit. Just settle. Hopefully after the international break, we'll get players back. Luke Shaw, Terrell Malacia. Hopefully the updates on Rasmus Højlund won't be too serious. And same with Christian Eriksen as well. Hopefully they'll just miss maybe the international break. I don't know. But yeah, that was just kind of my feeling, is I do think that there was a bit of a a bit of an overreaction to yesterday. Yeah, it was a tough watch. Yeah, it wasn't great. But I do think just attacking players need to pull their weight. That's it. And I do think, and this is why I say, and I've said before about Ten Hag, I'm like, don't let the media try and brainwash you or fool your sort of narrative about the manager, because again, some of the double standards we've seen this season, I think, is absolutely ludicrous when it comes to treatment of other people in charge. I've mentioned it of Ange Postecoglou, and I think he's a really good coach, and there's no doubting the job he's done at Spurs. But some of the double standards, when it came to going down to 9 men and praising him for losing 4-1, or when it came to yesterday, make no mistake too, right? They capitulated yesterday. Capitulated. Now, if that's Manchester United, we start talking about, this team's got no character. This manager, he can't get out of the bad habits. They're weak. They lost away from home. But no, it's injuries. They've got absences. He's a charismatic leader. Sorry, what? What are we talking about? Eddie Howe, and he's done a great job at Newcastle. And I can't dispute what Eddie Howe's done at Newcastle. He did a great job last season. So did Eric Ten Hag. Did a good job last season. But Newcastle now, it's, wow, they've got injuries and, it's playing in the Champions League every week. It's tough. You've got Kieran Trippier arguing with fans. It was Bruno Fernandes arguing with the way end. What do we think the reaction would be this morning? I don't think it would be totally supportive as well. That's where I think we have to be careful and not buy in to what the media do, in my opinion, certainly. But there you go. Let's get some reaction. Let's go to Flex. Here are his thoughts on the game.
But it's a win. A win is a win. A win is a win. But that has been the phrase, isn't it? That's been the phrase. A win is a win. A win is all that matters. It's not about the performance. It's only about 3 points. So I'm kind of tired of saying that. But listen, that's all you can expect from this Man United team at the moment. The thing that disappoints me today, or the thing that annoyed me today, is that the chances were there for it to be more. Do you know what I mean? It was a lack of being clinical nature in front of goal. There was a real wastefulness to us in the final third, and the players that stood out today again wasn't the attacking players. I know the goal comes from a Marcus Rashford cross and he creates something there, so that's decent. But all the attackers again just not being clinical enough, doing okay into the final build-up stage and then not taking chances. The players that have stepped up, Harry Maguire. Probably give him man of the match, to be honest. It was an easy game for him, where there's not a lot of, pressure on the ball. He doesn't have to defend, a 1v1 situation high up and stuff like that. He's got time on the ball to pick his passes, bring it out of defence, and he did do that. And obviously Lindelof gets the winning goal as well, a decent goal. What more can I say? I just expected more, but at the same time, my prediction was that. So it is kind of, look. It's kind of counterproductive when you follow us right now, because we're saying that that's the maximum level we can play. But, well, then, no, hold on, it wasn't, because the chances were there for that to be a 3 or 4-0 game. I'm looking at Garnacho. He was wasteful today, getting into good areas, but snatched at the opportunities. Rasmus Højlund, close to scoring, in the right positions. I'd much rather that. It's almost like he's going through the different orders of before he starts bagging. So before I was more concerned because we're not even seeing him in the game. He's not getting the chances. The game's sort of passing him by. But today it wasn't that. He had a guiltless chance in like the first 5 or 8 minutes, something like that. Should have scored. He had a header. Should have scored. Rashford should have scored as well. So there was just little moments in the game where you're saying, if you score those and you score them early, the floodgates will probably open and you don't get Luton basically being as comfortable as they were for large parts. Essentially, obviously, Eric Ten Hag will be happy, and he should be happy because we've won and we've kept a clean sheet and the defence done their jobs and we didn't give away anything too silly. But we still did give away some easy gives, some easy chances that just shouldn't have happened. The free header for Carlton Morris in the first half shouldn't really have happened. Townsend gets a couple of looks at the goal, shouldn't really be happening. If we're on top like we're supposed to be, and we killed the game off, and I just felt like we were comfortable, but we still just also gave enough to not Fulham, to Luton, to be able to be like, yeah, well, you know what, we can we can stay in this game, we can maybe get something out of it. But it is true what KG says on the match, like that that is Man United right now. Do you know what I mean? We're not doing anything clinical right now. We're not blowing away any teams. And that's why even before this game, I was like, you know what? Yeah, 1-0, 1-0, like, it'll just be all right. The team selection as well, if you're looking at it from that perspective with the Rafael Varane situation, and we know now that Maguire that's it, that he's the guy. He's the guy who's going to be playing all the games at right centre-back. And it's going to be Lindelof going forward, while I think Johnny Evans is out for like 3 to 4 weeks. So there's obviously no Martinez, and he doesn't fancy Rafael Varane. Rafael Varane's going to be limited to what he done today, where he's got to come on. Obviously, Eriksen going off injured. There were some nice bits from Mason Mount. There were some nice bits. He gave the ball away at a real bad time, but he worked his arse off to run back and get it back, said sorry. And then he had a couple of times in transition where he was getting forward. He got a couple of cutbacks, involved in a few attacks. Again, wasn't amazing, didn't absolutely light it up, but it was one of those ones where he's now got an opportunity. You know, Erik ten Hag talked about he has to fight. He said he has to fight. He said that Mason Mount needs to, fight for his place now. He obviously got injured at the beginning of the season, and that probably wasn't good for him. It's the worst time for a new player to get injured when you're trying to settle. But again, it's going to have to change, but there's an opportunity there for him.
Big up Flex inside UVHQ yesterday. A couple of manager quotes after the game. So Erik ten Hag was asked on being the quickest Manchester United manager to reach 30 Premier League victories. He said, quote, "Not bad, but I can't celebrate that. We have other concerns. We have to perform better." And you know what? I think that's good that he mentions that. Because I think again people get confused when, the question gets asked of the manager or players after the game. You're happy with that? You're always happy to win. Like that again. That was the minimum yesterday. You had to win, and I don't think anyone. And I think people misconstrue this as well. I don't think any Man United fan came out of that game yesterday and was happy with the performance. Like, why would you be? Like again, it was tough to watch. And you should have scored more goals, and it should have been quicker, and it should have been more free-flowing. But also, at the same time, I would also sort of say that, what do people expect? Because we haven't played free-flowing, attacking, fantastic football all season. So why was there an assumption that overnight it's going to happen? Even against a Luton side that's poor and really shouldn't be in the Premier League in terms of their quality. They don't have Premier League quality. But why is there assumption, it's just going to happen like that? It's fine. No, it's not been like that all season. So that's when I also get into temper your expectations, I think, as well. It is going to be a case of momentum doesn't just happen overnight. It does build up over time. And this is what I also say about performances too, is that in 3 months' time or in 6 months' time, whenever we play Luton next, right? Whenever we play Luton next in the Premier League, are most of the people, when reflecting about this result, are they going to go, how did you play against Luton? Or is it going to be, what's the scoreline? Did you win? Yes. That's it. And as Ten Hag says, we have to perform better. That's been the case all season. We have to perform better. Ten Hag also says, "It is a good day. We needed the win. We got it, but we could make life more easy by scoring early on and getting a second. We created the chances, but we didn't score apart from one." And that's essentially the point that I think I'm trying to make this morning, is that got the win, happy with the win. It should have and could have been way more straightforward. And I think if we do score those chances early on when we should score them, the game opens up significantly more. People will get more relaxed. They start playing better football, and then the performance does come. When you don't take your chances, things get tense. And you start wondering, is this going to be our day? The crowd starts getting up on you. And also, I guess most importantly, if you don't take your chances, clinical chances that you should be scoring and burying, and again, putting the game to bed very early on, the opposition too, they start to feel a bit more confident in what they're doing. They start to be in the low block and go, actually, this is working out. Let's keep fighting. Let's keep going. I thought the goalkeeper for Luton had a good game as well yesterday. And it just, you make life more difficult for yourself. Ten Hag also said, "I'm happy with the clean sheet. We had many chances before halftime, and you should net one of them. After halftime, get the second, and then the game is gone. Now you keep the game alive, and they can get an equaliser from balls dropping in the wrong place." He also was asked about Rasmus Højlund not getting his goal yesterday. Ten Hag said, quote, "Rasmus Højlund has scored 5 times in the Champions League. He has the confidence and the goals will come. He continued by saying, "It would be better for composure, for the calmness, for the manager, the coaches and the team if we score early on. But if you don't, you have to keep going. I have to compliment the team that they kept going, kept organised and didn't give anything away. We have 3 away games, all big games, and we have to get ready for that. Hopefully the players stay fit in their international duties. We get ready for that. A lot of work to do." And he also then said, "After all the setbacks, we are still in a position nearby the top 4. We have won 4 from 5 in the Premier League. If you oversee all the trouble we had, we are in a very good position." And do you know what? I certainly do. I agree with what he's saying there. I do agree with what he's saying there. In the grand scheme of things, and this is why football is wild, because if you look at how we have played this season and some of the performances we have put in this season, we've got no business being where we are in the table or having, 4 wins out of the last 5 in the Premier League. And with all of the injuries and the absences and just problems that we have had this season, when it comes to injuries or other issues or all of the above that's happened, the drama at Manchester United, to be in a position where it's like, when you come look at the Premier League table and we are 3 points off top 4, how many points? 5 points behind third, 6 points behind second. That just shouldn't be the case. I just shouldn't be the case. I think that, and I'm not in the territory of, this is just my opinion. And if people want to, and I know people view it differently to me. I'm not telling people, you should be feeling this. I'm just offering up. This is how I view it. I did perceive, or what I saw on social media yesterday was a lot of, you'd have thought we'd lost. You'd have thought we'd lost, and we got totally humiliated, embarrassed. I mean, if that's people's definition of being embarrassed and humiliated, I'd much rather have that every week, than lose football matches. For a lot of the talk about humiliation and embarrassment, was that discourse around Liverpool last week when they drew? Was that discourse around Spurs when they won 1-0 against Luton? I don't think so, realistically. And look, people are allowed to feel negative and all that kind of stuff, but I would also say, okay, what's your rationale? What's your reasoning as to why? And if your rationale just is, we didn't play very well, I would say then you've got to offer more than that. You've got to offer more than, we just didn't play very well yesterday. Okay, what do you mean by that? Is it because we're not scoring goals? Because I can agree with you. It's a tough watch because we're not scoring goals, but we're creating chances. We should have won that game 3 or 4-0. Is it because you're saying we're defending horribly? Because in the Premier League this season, that's just not necessarily the case. We've conceded goals in games, but no more than some other teams in the top 6 or 7 as well. What is the rationale here? I think and also, what is the reference point in terms of, I've been saying we haven't played well since February or March. So when I'm going into these games, I'm not assuming that we're going to absolutely blow teams away, because we haven't done that. And that is sometimes the definition of insanity too. I get that we use this argument all the time. We're Manchester United, okay, but no one's got any divine right just to be like, we're Man United, so we're going to win today 5-0. We haven't been winning games 5-0 in ages. So what's the expectation in that we're going to win? We were going to win this 5-0 yesterday. We should have, and we could have, but I think that this is the point that KG was kind of making when saying, well, why do you think we're going to play this free-flowing, attacking and amazing football? Because we haven't. We haven't been playing that all season. So what do you necessarily expect? You're setting yourself up to be disappointed if you think that's what you're going to get. The hope is that once we get players back and we keep getting victories like we did yesterday, where it's not great, but eventually you build up momentum, similarly to what we did last season. The same happened last season. After the World Cup, we were picking up wins, and they weren't great to watch. Or after the start to the season. You remember the start to last season when we obviously lost those first 2 games? I remember we played, I think it was Southampton away and Leicester away. We won those games, check them, 1-0. They both got relegated. They were terrible teams. And I remember scraping through those games. I remember looking at those games going, oh my God, we were playing terrible. But when you're not playing well, you just need to pick up wins, and then confidence starts to build. And then eventually you get to a point where we were last season where the confidence is there because you've won all of these games in a row. And then you do play a big team like a Barcelona, like a whoever, and you go, oh, actually, we're playing all right at the moment. Or you do play a big team like an Arsenal at Old Trafford, and you do win. You go, oh, we're pretty confident at the moment. I think it's just more that. You can't, I don't think it's wise to assume overnight you're going to go from a team devoid of confidence to a free-flowing team full of confidence, because it just doesn't work like that realistically. I think it is just a case of grind out wins, build up confidence, build up momentum, hopefully get players back, and then you start playing better. I think there's just an instant gratification that people want straight away. That's what I think. That's what I think anyway. Let's get some more reaction. Let's go to KG, that comedian. Here's what he had to say.
A win is a win. 3 points is what Man United need. Yes, there's so much to get into in terms of the lack of clinicalness and stuff like that. But I'm going to start with the positives. I have to start with the positives. Onana, again, this is a player that we looked at. We was worried about him. We thought, what is he going to be? Is it going to be a Massimo Taibi situation? Is it going to be even worse than that? And what we're seeing from him is now another clean sheet. Another good performance. Another performance. You're not meant to notice the keeper. The keeper at Man United just meant to do your job. You're not meant to be player of the season. You're just supposed to be there and be when called upon, make the save, distribution. And what we're getting from him now is making the saves. Distribution's not all the way there, but then I'm not worried about him. I'm confident when a shot comes in from long range, I think he can save it. When I don't know if there's a corner comes in, I know he'll be commanding. This is the difference. We're seeing him start to elevate, and long may it continue. So I've seen some positives from him. Really proud of his performance. Another player that I can mention is Maguire. Maguire, man like Jacob, man like Harry, whatever you want to call him, man. Maguire is doing things that I didn't expect to see. I was ready for Maguire to go last season. He's a player now. If the January window opens, I'm not selling. You know what I mean? I'm not selling in January. Now, you never know. At the end of the season, we have a conversation. But then we're seeing just progressiveness. We're seeing a guy that is playing with true confidence and is looking like the Man United shirt is starting to fit him. You're taking the captain's armband off, and boy, that made a big difference for Maguire. Again, there was too much expectation, too much on his shoulders, and he crumbled. It took a lot. It took too much from him. Now you see Maguire, like, he's got some faith in the manager. He's actually playing ahead of Varane, which is insane. But then again, if we look at the performances, forget the names on the back of the shirts for this moment. You look at the performance, you say, listen, he's doing what he needs to do. He's spraying the diagonal balls, like right there. Then after, he's playing through the lines as well. We're getting some proactivity. Maguire usually runs up, he's on a striker, and then he gives away a foul. He's not even doing that this season as much as he used to. Even when they're aerially winning his duels. Like today, Maguire is my man of the match. I can't believe I'm saying this. In 2023, I'm on this platform saying, yo, big up to Maguire. But then you have to be honest. Call a spade, and I say right now, he is playing good football. Take away the player agenda and this, that, and the other. Just call it out. Call it for what you see. The guy's in form. The guy's in confidence, and long may it continue. So many defensive partnerships. If it's been Johnny Evans, it's Lindelof right now. And now Lindelof comes back into the frame. Lindelof, he had a decent game. Lindelof's been one of those that he usually plays better, and we expect more from Lindelof. And he's been more strong and solid, but we've had a couple games where he hasn't been as strong as we know him to be. Lindelof today gets the goal. Lindelof today, after, getting through his things off the pitch, comes up today and gets a big moment for us. And we needed that goal. Going into international break, Man United needed that goal. So then if I talk about the positives, those is as far as it goes. And that's me like really clutching at straws. Because when you get now forward into this team, that's when we have the problems. That's when, and there's a multitude, our strikers can't score. Our attacking team, the attacking phase of the team, it's just not working. In NFL, you got the defensive and you got the offensive side. The offensive coaches, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what kind of meetings they're having. I don't know what kind of tape, what kind of video they're watching, but we lack clinicalness. We're literally a blunt knife.
Big up KG inside UVHQ doing his hosting duties on the match for yesterday as well. I do want to talk about Harry Maguire because KG brought him up there. Harry Maguire's a funny one as well, because yesterday again I thought he did well. You know, it's a perfect game for him. There's not a lot of pressure on him. As I mentioned, Luton really offered not a lot going forward. They were just fully behind the ball, low block. But if you look at some of the chances actually in the game, a couple of them start with who else? Harry Maguire. The Højlund one, the first chance of the game, comes from a good Maguire knock over the top to Rashford. Rashford cross into the box, deflected, goes to Højlund, should score. One of the Garnacho chances, not the one which Højlund fed him in, one before that, it's a crossfield pass by Harry Maguire. And we've said before, Maguire's got that in his locker. He's got a decent crossfield pass. And it's a strange, it is weird when you praise Maguire. I have noticed this, because you have to, you feel a need to have to sort of state your overall opinion about him and your longer term opinion about him when you praise him, because the reaction that you get if you say, oh, Maguire did well today, he shouldn't be here, he's rubbish, he should be gone, he should have left in the summer, he should be leaving all the time, he's not good enough to be a Man United player. And you go, whoa. I'm just talking about today. I'm just talking about that game. I mean, I had it when I just went, oh, I did a good pass yesterday, but he just shouldn't be here. And you go, what? Whoa. Like, I don't disagree with you. If I'd had my way, yeah, he would have gone in the summer. Like, of course, we all wanted to go in the summer. Should have gone to West Ham. And make no mistake, too, I don't think it was in Erik ten Hag's plans to play him this season, but injuries have dictated that. Before he came on against Arsenal, he hadn't kicked a ball for Man United this season because there was no plans for him to kick a ball this season for United. And if we got an offer at the end of the season, I'd still sell him. Because I don't think long-term he's the right option or he's good enough. I think we need to have more of a younger, more progressive centre-back at the club. We need better quality. That's clear to see. But he's here. He played yesterday, and he did all right. He's been playing well recently, and you're allowed to say that. You can have that. You can have that opinion. I feel like I'm going blue in the face when I say these things. Football's not black and white. There are shades of grey. So when he's on the pitch and he's playing, he's been playing well. At the end of the season, get the offer, still sell him. Like, that's okay. And you're allowed to say, just because you say, oh, he played well, so you want him to stay? Is that what you're saying? No. He played well yesterday. It's just, and that's where, it's almost like the opposite of like player FC, isn't it? It's so anti the player that if you say they do well, they can't do anything. For instance, again, he does a couple of good passes yesterday, and the reaction, it's Luton. It's Luton though. So there's no point gassing up, these small things. Okay, so are we then into the territory of if he plays badly against Luton, he's shit. If he plays well against Luton, he's still shit. So he's just shit. Like, what are we doing? Like, he's, again, still should be sold in the summer. Definitely should have been Man United captain. Not a chance. I think it's ironic that actually his leadership skills have improved significantly with taking the armband off of him as well. But he's been playing well. And if you're playing well, you deserve to be praised for playing well. Call me crazy, call me old-fashioned. If you're not playing well, you should be criticised because you're not playing well. If you're playing well, you should be praised because you're playing well. I don't think it's that kind of difficult. So I thought he did well yesterday. Lindelof did well yesterday. Make no mistake with Maguire. Again, it's the perfect game for him. Flex pointed this out. You're not doing that much defending. Low block. You're not under that much pressure. All of their, essentially Luton's best attempts at attacking were being direct, going long. So it's basically winning the ball up in the air, which is perfect for Harry Maguire. So it was a perfect game from yesterday. But he played well, so credit to him for playing well. That's good. Good for good. Let's get some more reaction. Let's go to Minna. Minna back on the match for you yesterday. Here's what she had to say.
Rashford again, just straight at the keeper. That he passed it to him. Højlund
9 3/4 Rashford, right?
Literally like running into players. It is what it is. Højlund unlucky because I think the ball comes in, it takes the deflection and it hits his thigh, not even his knee. I think he would have got a better connection with his knee. But Eriksen comes off with an injury. Højlund pulling up with a
I hope that's just a player, just them taking him off, and it's not hamstring. I hope that is the case.
I think
because Martial to step in for Gallagher. Nah.
You know what? With Hoyland, they've been managing his injuries, especially because he came in with a back problem.
Yeah.
He plays 65, 70 minutes. Ain't seen him play a full 90
He
today.
played like 86 minutes in what game? I can't remember what game
Yeah,
it was
he
when.
played
Like 86.
But he ain't played a full 90. And I think
Copenhagen.
I think they're trying to manage him as well, especially because of the injury problems. There's an injury crisis at this team right now. One player comes back, another player in that position gets injured.
I can't believe we lost Ericsson today. Ericsson looked like, even though he has limitations, but when he came off the pitch, you could see that it wasn't flowing the same way. What's your thoughts on Mason Mount? He gets into the team today.
I think today he came on and had some good impact. He's pressing, going for the second chance, making good runs on the right-hand side. He played the pre-pass, the pre-assist, or whatever you want to call it, to Rashford for the goal. I think, my only concern with Mount, and not just Mount, but as I mentioned it, Anthony as well, these are the manager's signings that essentially can't get into the team against Luton. Forget City and Bayern Munich and all them like big teams. Like, this is a game against newly promoted team, relegation, haven't beaten United since King Henry the Eighth.
Henry the Eighth, yeah, that's what Flex said. Henry, yeah.
But 1800s ain't beaten them since then. My only concern is that the manager is starting to lose faith in his own signings. I think I'm not gonna lie, somebody asked me this one day on Twitter. They said, out of Anthony and Mount, if there's one that you would rather kind of give an opportunity to, and think I would give it to Mount, because we've seen what he can do in the Premier League. We've seen what he could do in a good club. We've seen what he could do at Chelsea. We've seen what he does Premier League, Champions League, etc. I think right now, today, we were lucky because we were playing Luton, who weren't, they were utilising space whenever they got it in the midfield, but they weren't doing much with it. And it allowed McTominay to sit as the lone six. But not gonna lie, going against a team like Newcastle with McTominay as the lone six, you're having a laugh.
Yeah.
You're having a laugh. But the only thing I will say is just focus on what's ahead of us.
Yeah, again, we get the win, and I'm not gonna lie. The performance from Luton today was a lot like your performance against me, where you did nothing basically for 90 minutes. So I'm just saying. Well. Anyway, and I want to focus on this game. If we can focus on this game, it's very important. What's your final thought on Man United winning though?
Listen, like I said, happy with 3 points. It's good. It is what it is. Focus on what's ahead of us. We got a busy run of games in December. We got Galatasaray, we got Bayern Munich. That's just Champions League. We got Newcastle, we got Chelsea, we got Liverpool, we got Everton after international break. We got a lot of serious games. These are serious games, and we can't perform like this today. The way that we performed today, I wouldn't say is the worst performance we've had this season. For me, it's just not finishing your food. And strikers need to do better. 1 goal between our front line in the Premier League.
That's mad.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. We need to do better. And I think, with the manager, I think these wins are buying him time, which is good.
Yeah.
I think it's good that it's buying him time. It's one of them ones where if we walk away from games this season with 1-0 wins, scraping wins, with the season that we're having.
Well, we need him to just,
we need
him, and then search him, whatever that thing is, whatever the money comes, whatever we get, we just need to just keep pushing in whatever direction this thing is going in, but we need some stability.
Yeah, we need stability, but I'll also say, like, to myself, to you, you're not going to listen, but to everybody else, be patient, but be happy. 3 points be happy with the 3 points. Like, I'm because if we lost today, or if we drew,
like you did,
this guy's never gonna let it go. He keeps ducking me, and everybody.
No. Why are you bringing stuff up? Can we focus on with the channel's not about that? I just because I remember the recent loss.
Manchester United 1, Luton 0. It is.
KG, he's something else. Now, I was on commentary for this game that they're talking about, and KG is the type of guy who can stream for 3 hours. 180 minutes of streaming content for you. And he in that 3 hours beat one person. And that was Men of Football. That's the only person he beat in 3 hours. He was saying, I want another game. He didn't. The person quit, right? And I believe it was a draw at the time. Now, I will agree with him as much as Minna can say, the stats. Look, KG deserved to win that game. He was the better team. He played better in that game, and he deserved to win. But he will not let it go. And you would think he won every game on that stream, and that really was not the case. But I've heard, word on the grapevine is there is a rematch planned in the future. I think it's going to be taking place on Minna's channel. which I think is Minna Football. So if you haven't already, be sure to check that out. I think she just hit over 1,000 subs. It might even be more now, actually, as well. And I think she's launched the podcast, a Man United Women's podcast as well. So check that out. Just go check out our socials. You'll be able to find all that kind of stuff there. And check out KG's channel as well. KG, that comedian. He's been doing a lot of stuff on there as well. By the way, guys, we've got over nearly 500 people watching. We don't even have 100 likes. Now, I haven't been big on the likes this morning because there's been a lot to get into. There's been a lot to discuss. But, I mean, I know this is the problem. Sometimes it's Sunday. People they might be watching in bed. They might be like relaxing. A bit of good morning content. Put the tablet on, put the phone on, put the TV on, match day reloaded, let's see how we're all feeling, that kind of stuff. And sometimes you just forget. Sometimes you're having your cup of coffee in the morning, cheers, or having your breakfast, and it's like, I'll just do this, I'll have it on in the back. It's just background noise. And I'm very thankful to be a background noise. Thank you very much. Thank you for allowing me into your backgrounds. But if you haven't already, click the like button. And for those that get very angry, that's it. Because there are some that get very angry when you say, can you hit the like button? Don't tell me what to do. I'll do what I want when it comes to my like button. I'll choose if I like, okay? Not you. You won't tell me what to do. And I think that's very strange because I wonder then what they must be like in regular life. Can you do me a favor? Can you put that in the bin? No. I'll put it in the bin if I want to put it in the bin. Not because you tell me to put it in the bin. Okay, can you just turn on that light? No. I'll turn on the light if I want to. Okay? If that's my choice whether I turn on that light or not yours. So you don't tell me to turn that light on. Okay? No. It's like, oh my, wow. So yes, if you haven't already clicked the like button, it helps with the algorithm. Because if you click the like button, then basically YouTube's more likely to find more of you, like-minded people, and get more of you in the chat. And then we can have bigger, more grander discussions on a Sunday morning. So there you go. We're over 100 now anyway. So thank you very much for clicking the like button if you haven't already. And if you still haven't, it's up to you. It's free will. Your choice. You do what you want. No problem. Let's get some more reaction. Let's go to Rich. Here's what Bammy Rich had to say.
Everybody can see that the performance isn't the best, but we won the game. We got the 3 points. And obviously, if we go into detail, I actually don't think we performed that badly. We're going to talk about the different players, but really and truly, I think the problem lies with our strikers or our forwards, if you're
forward line. Yeah.
And that's the problem because at this point, the defenders are carrying them. Defenders are doing their jobs. They're doing their jobs. Lindelof, Maguire today were good. Even the fullbacks were good. But the forward line is just they're not carrying the water. They're not doing what they're meant to be doing. And you can't have that. If you look back through all our wins this season, I think the only time in all competitions the only time we've won by more than one goal was in the League Cup when we won 3-0 before we got knocked out. So otherwise we were winning by one goal, maybe 2-1 here, 3-2. And that's just not good enough. And even then, if you go a bit deeper into that, who's scoring these goals? We've got 6 or 7 forward line players, if you want to include Ahmad and people like that are injured. 6 or 7 of those guys, only one of them has scored a goal in the Premier League.
That is
and
crazy.
That's only one goal as well. So it's just poor, really. It's just poor form from the forward line. And I think really and truly, that's what we need to be looking at. And that's what needs to be dealt with on the training ground. They need to sit down together and say, you know what, boys at the front, you need to do better right now. Yeah. Because this can't run. We can't win anything like this. So then if you're looking at this game specifically, we created chances, and actually, I've been sitting down thinking about it because if you watch the end of the match view, I was more like, actually, this is poor all round. And you were being positive, which is, and I thought about that more. This game was actually good in terms of the chances we created. Yeah. If you put those chances away early as well, not just later on in the game, but early chances. The Rashford, the Højlund chance. Sorry, first of all, if you're putting those chances away early, it's a different game, and it's a different feeling at the end of the game as well. So I don't like using this term, but Ten Hag did coach a good game here. Yeah. The players just didn't finish their breakfast or their dinner, whatever you want to call it.
Can we get that though? When will we get that form? When do you think it's going to click into gear for us?
And that's the question, and I think that's the problem or the reason why people like me, people like Flex maybe are a bit like, this is just not good enough because you can't see when that clicking is going to come. It's not like you're seeing the games and you're thinking, oh, actually, it was only 1-0. Yes, we create chances, but actually we had a post a few times, or we dominated the game in like a free flowing football kind of way. We controlled the game at the start, but then I wouldn't say it was free flowing football. We create chances, but I wouldn't say you're looking at it thinking, okay, yeah, we can do this against City and we'll be fine. And like you said, what are we basing these questions on, or these predictions on? Because we haven't shown anything all season. So then you ask the question, like you said, when are we going to see good performances? And that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping that we go against people like Luton, people like Sheffield United, these so-called lower league teams, the minnows in the league, and you think, okay, hopefully we'll see something to be encouraged about in these games. Obviously win the game, but still see something to be encouraged about, and you're not seeing that now. So then that's why you then look at it and think, like, when are we gonna start performing? And I can't give an answer to that, unfortunately. I'm hoping Ten Hag can get into. Like I said already, the main thing actually at the moment, the main problem is that forward line. Yeah. They need to start scoring goals, and I think the confidence. You look at it, you think, oh, even Mount needs to go, Anthony needs to go, Rashford needs to go, Bruno needs to go, Rashford, what's his name? Højlund needs to go. Because I actually genuinely think if he scores a goal in the Premier League,
it will start.
I genuinely think the floodgates open. Yeah. Then you look at Martial coming off the bench. Right now, what is Martial offering?
He just comes off the bench.
That's it.
Yeah, he comes off the bench. He can give Højlund a rest.
That is it.
Yeah, he comes off the bench. Give Højlund.
He comes off the bench to rest Højlund, and that's a damn shame because Martial's a good player.
I don't expect it when he comes on. I'm like, oh, he's come to do a couple.
But that's mad.
15 minutes here and there.
That's our backup striker. Like we don't expect him to do anything at the moment, and that is mad. That is just shows how impotent I guess we are up front. We can't score. Like we can't score. So it's a problem, and obviously you think you want to address it. And I don't want to go on about it, but Harry Kane, this guy's got 17. Harry Kane. He's got 17 goals in 11 games or something in the Bundesliga. These are the kind of strikers that we should have got. Obviously, you're looking backwards.
No, but this kid's gonna turn out good. We need support for Højlund, though. Yeah. We need just people to find.
Did he say Harry Kane? Harry Kane? Oh, we need to move on from the Harry Kane thing, man. I mean, I was in that camp in the summer. Don't get me wrong. Just try, put an offer in. Just try. I know that Spurs, they're probably never gonna sell to us and all that kind of stuff, but I'd have wished that we'd have just tested, just tried. But then part of me also does think that even if in a hypothetical, other reality and a branch timeline, I've been watching Loki. I finished it last night. It's brilliant. On a branch timeline, had we got Harry Kane, I feel like the discussion would be at the moment about how much he's flopping and failing at Manchester United. He's not that good because that just tends to happen with the signings that we make, isn't it? It just, it doesn't work out for them. So, but big up to him doing very well. I hope that does sort of silence those people that were saying that he's terrible, because I never understood that narrative at all, by the way. Just, he's rubbish. What? He's Spurs' record goal scorer, England's record goal scorer. He's like one of the highest goal scorers in Premier League history. Yeah, but he's rubbish. Plays for Spurs. Okay. Oh, that was the other one. What's he won? Plays for Spurs. Nothing, obviously. Like, what? That's like when Gareth Bale moved to to Real Madrid. Yeah, what's he won though at Spurs? He plays for Spurs. Nothing, obviously. Like, isn't that the point? That they don't win anything. Like, it doesn't make him a bad player. So look, he's an unbeliever. He's setting records in the Bundesliga. Isn't he something like he scored more goals than like the top goal scorer in the Bundesliga last season? It's insane. But that's what Harry Kane does. Harry Kane scores goals. But in the hypothetical realm of if he had come to United, I still almost don't think it would have worked out, just because that's just United, realistically. Like, just that's what happens with big name side. His ankle would have, at this point, because he's always got the ankle problems, it would have shattered. Like, I mean, exploded. He'd have probably been ill at some point too, and he'd have like one Premier League goal and he'd be a flop. And even, to be honest, even if he had scored the 17 goals at Man United, the media would still be saying, hey, he's not that good though, is he? Because it's Man United. Of course it is, So, the Harry Kane thing, no. But hopefully when it comes to Rasmus Højlund, he did come off a hamstring injury. As of right now, we don't have an update on that, so we don't know what the status is with the hamstring. Hopefully it's not that bad, but it's a general rule in football, isn't it? If someone does their hamstring or they come off holding their hamstring, tends to be, minimum 2 weeks. I mean, Van de Ven was a good example for Spurs, wasn't it? It looked like he'd completely done it. And then I think Spurs are saying it's maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. So you would think maybe with Højlund it might be a couple of weeks. And if that means Anthony Martial is going to have to play games, at one point, are we going to get the fabled 90 minutes for Anthony Martial this season? I still don't think so. I don't think so. But that's what he's there for. Until his contract runs out at the end of the season and he leaves, which I still think is going to be the case. That's what he's there for. So maybe that's going to be the case. Let's get some final reaction. Good vibes, John. I think the good vibes are back.
A boring game that was. I was trying my best to keep the live stream positive, keep the live stream energetic. It was really, really hard to do so. But thankfully, thanks to a goal from Victor Lindelof, we were able to secure all 3 points, as at this current moment in time, Manchester United now sit 6th on the table. And for Manchester United fans, I feel like this season is just going to be this kind of season. I think this game truly solidified to me that I have to judge and grade this season's Manchester United way differently than I sort of judged and graded Manchester United from last season. This season, it seems like this is just going to be a story filled with lost opportunities, missed chances, injuries upon injuries upon injuries. I want to talk about the game a little bit later, but I think that blow to Christian Eriksen is going to be massive, a huge dent for Manchester United, and he's going to be sorely missed. He was finally picking up some decent form. It was like last season. In January, he was looking great, and then he picked up that injury where he was out for a very long time. It was so frustrating to see that for Christian Eriksen because he was phenomenal. And recently, after being slotted back into the starting 11, he was looking so good. And then now he picks up another injury. It's just the luck is not on our side this season. I don't know what we have to do. I don't know what we have to do to stop these injuries. But it seems like for Manchester United, it's just a reoccurring theme week in, week out. And it is so frustrating. But going back to the game, first half, I thought Manchester United were a lot better in terms of dominating possession, in terms of trying to create more chances. But despite having the opportunities to potentially have a flying start, Manchester United just could not put the ball in the back of the net. Let alone, we couldn't even test the keeper. Every shot, especially from the likes of Garnacho, Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes in particular, every shot was going into row Z. It was so frustrating because the legs are fresh. It shouldn't be about legginess that they're like skewing these shots. But it was going all the way up. All the way up. You know, I know it's a difficult thing to try and, score goals. It's not easy. Scoring goals is one of the hardest damn things to do in the world of football. But we have to do better there. We're Manchester United. These are standards that we should have been just absolutely, holding. Let alone maintaining. Unfortunately, Manchester United couldn't score. And I was getting worried after Christian Eriksen got injured. I was worried. I was thinking, oh my God. Are we going to be in a position now where we're going to allow the opposition to slowly creep in? We're going to allow the opposition to slowly find their way back into the game? Because we've seen that many times throughout this season. And the second half started, and Luton Town didn't really do all that too much, respectfully, but they definitely played better in the second half than they did in the first half. They definitely started asking a lot more questions of Manchester United. And I was getting real nervous at this point in time. I was thinking, oh my days, please, 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 Manchester United, don't do this. And we weren't all that good. We were putting in decent crosses. I thought Marcus Rashford down the right-hand side was much better. Reguilon got involved very, very well. Diogo Dalot playing on the right back role obviously limits him from playing these hero ball moments. But despite the more natural flow of game with putting more lethal, more number of crosses into the box, we just couldn't convert it. And thankfully, following a great passage of play from Mason Mount and Marcus Rashford, who whipped in a low ball into the box, just filled with numbers in there, Victor Lindelof was able to find the spill and put it in the back of the net. And thankfully, the goal went in. But literally after that, there's really nothing much to talk about.
Big up, John. I mean, I could have set that up any better or worse, depending on how you looked at it. Literally, good vibes are back. What a boring game. I wasn't expecting that. I had a big cackle off camera there. You couldn't hear it, but it was very, very funny. So big up to John. What's on tap for the rest of the day? Well, Flex is going to be reflecting, reacting. That's probably going to be around midday. Then, of course, it's Sunday. You know what that means. Full View, 7 p.m. We'll be live with the panel to discuss, I guess, a bit of everything. Yesterday's result, possibly what's to happen later today, what the table's looking like, how we're feeling as we head into the international break. Is there cause for concern? Is there room for optimism? All of the above, and whatever you guys want to talk about as well, get involved. So that's going to be there at 7 p.m. And then big week ahead with some refresh stuff at United View, but we'll have more details on that obviously later today and tomorrow morning as well. Have a great Sunday, folks, and I'll speak to you again later on. Peace.